All right.
Ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're finally here.
Yeah.
Been a little bit of time in the making, huh?
It's been a minute. It's something that certainly evolved relatively quickly,
Yes.
but super proud of it.
So am I.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Florida Podcast Studio. I am here with Eddie. How do you say your last name?
Arguelles. So that's always a thing that people have to always
Yeah.
ask me and learn. So the way I always describe it is, think of it as our way is. Arguelles.
Arguelles.
Arguelles. Our way is. Just say those three words. Our way is.
Ah, gotcha.
And you're like 95% there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. My name is Ryan Chamelis. Quick, Eddie, before we really get into it, I would love to know a little bit on your background, what you do for a living.
Sure.
And just a little bit about you before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this whole conversation.
So not to go too far, but moved to Florida about 16, 17, not quite, 15 years ago. And I've been in real estate for 20 years. And so, early in my career was the way I raised my family. And up until recently, my kids are now finally in college. So this was a really unique time. But 20 years in real estate, you get to amass a lot of different sets of skills. You certainly meet a lot of people. I've had the pleasure of owning and running brokerages, doing real estate sales, training and hiring, all that great stuff. So 20 years later, you start to want to see what else you may want to do. And so that kind of fast forwards us to where we are today.
Awesome. So you've been doing real estate for 20 years, you said?
20 years.
Pretty much like all residential, right?
Residential, commercial, investment properties.
Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where were you before Florida?
Chicago. Born and raised in Chicago.
Chicago, really? So I'm sure that difference is absolutely insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Market-wise, not just the Chicago to Florida dynamic, but also just Chicago, big city, to Florida, Jensen Beach, Stewart area, where it's certainly a lot quieter and there's a completely different lifestyle, besides the weather, the obvious things like getting away from the snow.
I gotcha. So real estate agent of 20 full years. That's pretty
right.
impressive. So been a real estate agent for 20 plus years. Why build a podcast studio? Why build it now?
So again, a lot of things kind of came together in my life with my girls maturing and going off to college, starting their own lives, having the ability to apply some of the successes that I've had over my career to something that I want to do. Over my career, as I mentioned to you, I've been a broker, a trainer, and I really delved into marketing quite a bit. And at the onset of video, really became a supporter of video and in the way we build businesses, whether it's inside of real estate or not. And I just have an affinity towards it, and I love it. And when I thought about this particular space here, it was more space than I thought I was going to need. And to be honest with you, it was just going to be my man cave. But then,
Gotcha.
But then as I looked at the space and I started talking to people, including you, we started to see a vision for what this space could be. And again, as I'm transitioning out of being a 9-to-5er real estate agent, doing that kind of hustle, like anything else in life, it runs its course. And after 20 years, you amass those kinds of skills where it's likely helpful for someone else that's half step behind you, where they could learn from that. A lot of these things, all things change, technology changes. A lot of things in the way we connect with people stay the same.
Absolutely.
And you just kind of make a little bit of an adjustment as to how we do it. But the tools change a little bit. But my interest in wanting to help people further that and build their businesses is kind of where we are.
Cool. So for those of you that don't know, I run a content marketing company. So when I heard that you were really doubling down on video marketing and this entire idea for this space, I was so excited. What are some of your plans for this amazing space? Because we don't just have this studio. We have a second studio right down the hall and a third little mini studio right across the hall here. So you have tons of creative spaces now. I want to know what's kind of the game plan for utilizing those kinds of spaces.
So again, when I walked into this space, it really was just going to be a personal office for me, and just kind of a way for me to craft at my own pace some equipment, play with different lighting, play with different microphones. How does this look? How does that look? How does this sound? How does that sound? And it was just really going to be more of a slower process. But again, as we started to talk and I thought about it a little bit more, I looked at this space through a different lens. I looked at it in a way where it's like, for many uses, this little office space, it's not that little, it's about 1,500 square feet, was very awkward in its layout for most things.
Yeah.
But as I walked around, I could immediately see how I would use it. And as you mentioned, there's 3 different spaces here. We're in the podcast studio number 2. We have podcast studio number 1, which is more of a living room layout. So it's a little bit more of a, so this place can certainly house 4 people comfortably. We can have a discussion. It's a little bit more of an upright conversational place.
Yeah.
And then the living room, Studio 1, is a lot more laid back, more of a comfortable living room type style.
A little bit more intimate.
A little more intimate, yeah. A little more relaxed, a little bit more, hey, do you want a water or do you want a whiskey?
Gotcha.
That kind of
That's
place.
gonna be nice.
That's the vibe. That's the vibe there, yeah. And then the other studio is Studio 3, which is a really unique space and super timely, I think, in that it's a vertical format studio. And so it's designed for the way that content is really, really absorbed and taken in right now by social media and a lot of people, specifically as it relates to things like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and TikTok. And so it allows all these spaces allow us to really sit down, press a couple of buttons, and create content. And that's really the spirit of this place, is to help people, if they're not doing it right now, to learn the craft, to see the value in it, certainly. And for those who already see the value, actually have a place to come and do it.
Gotcha.
This is not meant to be a money-making opportunity for me. It's really a place for people to learn.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a school, and I love it that way. Prior to going to real estate, actually was not a lot of people know this, but I was a bilingual kindergarten and 5th grade teacher. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're Mexican, correct?
Yes. Yeah, the family comes from Mexico. So one of the first, obviously, learning Spanish was just in me. So I leveraged that and got a teaching position, which I really loved it a lot. And so as I look back on that, not only do I look back on it very fondly, but I look back at it as well, you just like doing that stuff, Eddie. You just like to teach. And then, of course, when I married into real estate, that kind of never really changed. And so I've been blessed and grateful to have quite a bit of success, experiences, all of that, which allows me to just do some cool stuff with cool people.
Awesome. It's funny how it all comes full circle, right?
And a lot of stuff is not even planned.
Yeah. I mean, this entire space wasn't planned, so it's pretty cool how it ended up coming out. I love the comparison that comparing this isn't like a money-making thing for you. This is more like a school. Who are your students? Who are the people that are going to be utilizing this space, and what are you hoping they learn when utilizing the space, when working with you, when working with others that are in here?
Right. So again, I think because there is a need for a place like this here locally. In South Florida, really, as I started to kind of do my own research, I was thinking about the name of the place, the Florida Podcast Studio, and all these things. I realized that there really isn't many places for it. You can go, you can record some things, but there isn't really much of a teaching component. So, again, because I enjoy doing that, that's one of the kind of the directions I have for this space, is to do it that way.
I gotcha. So is it just going to be for real estate agents?
No. So thank you for reminding me of the question. It's not just going to be for real estate agents. It's really going to be, although obviously I have the real estate background and that's the easy conversation to have and easy people to network with and bring on, it really is for any entrepreneurs that are looking to grow their brand, learn this technology, and ultimately connect with their clients, whether it's to sell them something or teach them something or gather people together as a group to further a cause. Any of those things, I think using the vehicle of video with social media or one-on-one, because there's strategies that I teach that are very impactful when you're first meeting somebody, where it's just a one-on-one conversation, or I send you a direct message that is a video. That has been by far one of the greatest impacts in the business, in my business, and in the business of people that I've had the privilege to consult with, is when you're able to put your face and use their name and say, Ryan, hi Ryan, this is Eddie from Engel and Volkers. I loved our conversation today. I look forward to being of service to you and your family as you make your move to Florida. And you put that in the video and they open it up on their phone. They're blown away.
Yeah.
And so because I've seen that kind of impact, it's very easy to be able to translate how that works in our industry to many industries.
Because like you have 20 years of experience in real estate, of course, but with you being an expert in real estate, that also comes with an expert in sales, an expert in lead generation. So it's not just that one niche, for lack of a better term, that you're confined in. You have a decent amount of education and knowledge that can help out pretty much any entrepreneur at that point, right?
Yeah, it's relationship building.
Yeah.
It's whether you're going to sell them something, you're trying to convince them of something, you're just trying to make them aware of you, values that you bring, services you can offer to them. I mean, that's the way to separate ourselves. It's clear that in the social media landscape that we're in right now, we are constantly bombarded with information, and so to be able to separate, and we're all guilty of it. Random text messages, or our inbox is full of junk.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's constant. So we're always looking for a way to separate yourself from everybody else. And this use of video and some of the strategies that I teach has been incredibly impactful for the people that I've been in contact with.
Okay. Speaking of strategies, I know this is where we're talking mainly about the podcast studio, but I'm sure people watching this would love to know, like, a little bit more of the tactical side of what you do, because everyone always says you should be posting on social media. So without giving away too much, what's like something that you feel entrepreneurs or creatives should focus on when it comes to taking that leap into creating content for social media, and for any type of social media? That's not just Instagram and Facebook. I'm also talking LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, whatever route they decide. What's something tactical that people could take home after watching this video and listening to us speak that they could start practically today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think where I like to start with my clients is what are you trying to accomplish and who are you trying to reach? I think that's really important, because understanding who your client is going to be, and I always encourage it for my clients to niche it down as much as possible. Become very, very focused as to envision who that dream client is, who that dream customer is, who that person you're trying to reach. What are they about? What are they interested in? What kinds of things do they search? And create content for them that's going to speak directly to them. If you're a generalist when it comes to video, that strategy kind of falls flat. And so that's everything from if I'm going to try to engage with you one-on-one to the content you put out online. Again, for the same reasons, if you're uploading a video to YouTube, but your content is pretty general, where it's really not going to reach your target audience. So understanding who that target audience is going to be very important, so that you know what kind of content to create. And then, yes, tactically, we talk about things like, should you be emailing it? How often should you be emailing it? Should you be sending it to them via text? Should you be uploading it to services like, video services like BombBomb, for instance, where you're able to track information? There's countless of services out there, and it just depends on the menu that we put together for a particular client and what they're looking to accomplish. Then we kind of put those pieces together.
I gotcha. So with this space and with the people that you're planning on meeting, are you looking for it to be almost like a networking aspect to a certain sense? Like, obviously you want to educate your clients and you want to help them out on whatever venture they're going after, but I can only imagine the amount of people that are going to come here, speak to you, and then want to, I don't know. I feel like here there's a really big opportunity for collaboration, not just between you and people that visit, but also between the network that you create in here that may be of interest in others that come here. Do you think that's like something that you would look for in the future?
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. It's actually one of the conversations I had with a close friend early on, and one of his early questions was, "Well, how are you monetizing this? How are you making money?" He went right through the throat, right? And like, how are you going to make money? and I had to stop him and say, "Listen, it's not and it's not to try to pat myself on the back. It's just not my interest." Again, fortunately, I'm not looking for the next buck to make sure I eat tomorrow, or that my AC stays on tomorrow, which in Florida, your AC's got to stay on.
Oh my God, it's so important.
It's so hot. But it's really more what you were kind of alluding to is the networking aspect. Again, it's just bringing people in, because I know, again, after doing anything for a long period of time, you understand that the value that you bring to people comes back to you tenfold. So the more you do out there and you put out there without a hard sell, a direct intention, call me tomorrow and I'll sell you X, Y, and Z. It's the relationship building, it's the value you bring to them, because frankly, a lot of people just feel like once they get to know you, they just want to do business with you, and they want to just organically say, what can we do together, or where can this lead to next?
Yeah.
And if they want to use some of the things that I teach here, great. I mean, I've got a lot that I can show people that will help impact their life in what I feel has been a very positive way.
I bet. Absolutely. That's a lot. I feel like, this is what you're focusing on, but that doesn't mean the plate's any smaller. Like, I feel like you got a decent amount ahead of you. And speaking of ahead, what exactly is next for the space? Because we have this space built.
Right.
Me and my team spent close to like 2 months building this entire space.
And here's a public thank you, by the way.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Been great. Lots of roadblocks, but we were able to get it done. Built a space that I'm personally proud of in all 3 studios. So now that it's done, what's happening next? How is the next thing to get people in here to experience it? Is the next thing to build up your coaching and then bring them in? Exactly what are your plans after? Yeah,
the coaching is just going to, again, to your last question, it's going to be something that just organically comes out because they're going to ask me, hey, Eddie, how can I learn more? What can I do? Can I work with you one-on-one? You know, those kinds of opportunities are just going to end up happening. And I'm prepared for those. But what's going to happen next is basically we're going through the Rolodex, and I'm reaching out to people that I'm respect, that I'm fond of, that I'd like to talk to, that I'd like to learn more about, and I'm really starting inside of our community. So I'm going to start here in the community first. Start with Martin County, and as a matter of fact, I've already reached out to a short list of people that I'd love that I'd love to be able to have come on board, and they've been incredibly receptive, which was always good. Which is when I started having these initial conversations with these people, I also did it to see what kind of reaction I would get, and it's like, what kind of questions would I get? What are you going to do there? If they were really interested, or like, oh, okay, that's great. So what? And overwhelmingly, they were all very excited about it and intrigued and wanted to know, how could they use it? What is it for? What do you charge? Things like that, which was great questions. But at least it let me know that there was interest in it. And so, I'm going to be reaching out to, like I said, start a handful of people that I think will bring good content to the table. We can have really good discussions. These are people that are involved in the community.
Absolutely.
That are very well networked, that I know just after our experience they'll be able to say, you know what, Eddie, you should talk to so-and-so, or you should bring on this, and be like, yeah, that's great. And I'm also involved with some charities, and so I'd love for that to be a part of it as well, to bring more awareness into the community, into what they're doing, right? Because there's always a need for fundraising and things like that. And so if we can open up this table for those opportunities as well, that would be fantastic.
That would be pretty cool. So from the research that we've done, taking a look at practically every business that's doing X amount per year that has a podcast, this is by far the nicest space within, I would say, a 75-mile radius. The pretty much the major podcasts that we've seen around here, content-wise, it's pretty good, but they didn't focus on the space at all, and I feel like the space kind of brings out the creative juices a little bit.
Sure.
So, like, if you're not in a space that's not inspiring you to actually bring up what's on your mind, to get creative with your conversations and things like that, I feel like the podcast is going to be pretty half done, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy you have the space. I love where you're going with this. I think practically everyone that's going to be in here is going to love it.
Well, you remember how I was in the beginning when we were crafting this. We were basically kicking a spreadsheet around back and forth.
Yeah.
And, what about this and what about that? I would look at the items you would link on there. I would maybe show you some that I was thinking about. And the space really came together, that the intention of keeping them cohesive but separate and different themed, I think was really important. I think with your guys' help, we nailed it. I think I'm really, really proud of what we've got, and it's only the beginning. So we're like anything else. You launch it and you put your best foot forward, but you're also open to adjustments and changes and things like that.
I definitely see how this is going to evolve over time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that. That's the fun part. It's not you didn't get it right the first time. It's how is this going to continue to evolve, and that to me is a lot of fun. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, just again, thank you for this. Thank you for officially, and I know, Gio, you're off camera, but listen.
Yeah, we got a camera guy in the back.
Kudos to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the work you both did equally. I know you guys worked hard, and I could tell by, when you were here, both of you, that you were really putting a lot of thought and intention into the space. So that to me is of greatest value. So thank you both genuinely for that.
I appreciate that you appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was definitely picking up on that, so it wasn't lost on me. And this is the start of, like I said, it's a really a great opportunity, and I just want to bring a lot of people through here, and I want to be able to help further whatever their goals are. And so really with that, man, cheers to the new studio.
Cheers.